All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll start with an invocation from Pastor Fry. Good evening.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, what a wonderful day it is that you've given us. And Lord, this evening, I just ask you to be over this city. I ask you to be over this town. And Lord, just ask you to continue to bless it. Lord, I ask you to be with each council member, with the mayor, Lord, with all the other officers and workers that's here. Lord, I just ask that you give them wisdom and knowledge. Lord, I just pray that everything that is said and done here this evening will be done in a manner that will be conducive to worship. Lord, I just pray that everything will be done in a pleasing manner to you, Lord, so that you'll smile upon us. Lord, we love you and we praise you. In your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. All right, next item, adoption of agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All right, item number 4, approval of consent agenda. We'll have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item number 5, our annual audit report. Mr. Anderson.
Good evening. As you receive every year, I do like a little summary and just go over those points with you briefly.
Is your microphone on?
I don't know. Is it? Hello?
No, yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay. Do I need to repeat that, or are we okay?
No, you're good.
Okay. Well, we have the 2 fund balance categories. We have general fund and water sewer fund. And as you can see through the years, the general fund has been sort of, at least the last few years, sort of eroding a little bit. The decline was less this year, or the 6/30/25 year, than the previous year, but nevertheless, it's still declining. The water sewer fund actually went up, and anyway, that's your available fund balance. Below that, we have tax collection rates, and of course, the excluding vehicles, that's the property tax rate collection. And as you can see, you've been right around the 94% for quite a long time. I would say, and that's just the 1-year collection rate. You know, you continue to collect on that for a 10-year period. So it's somewhere over 99% as far as the life of the tax levy. Okay, if you just flip to the next page. And this reference is just page 1 of the report. You have a unmodified opinion, which means that the report was good. All the information we asked for from Ed Nunn and the rest of the town we received. All the numbers that are in the report we verified. So it was a good audit in general. Page 18, this is your general fund, and this is where the loss occurred. It says expenditures exceeded revenues by around $345,000. Page 20, that's the water sewer fund. Income actually, or revenues actually exceeded expenditures the other way here, so it was actually an increase of $107,612. And then on page 49, that's where all the debt information is listed. And of course, Hamlet's in an unusual situation in that there is no debt for either the governmental funds or the business type funds. The city had no budget over expenditures, which is actually quite common for a lot of units, but had none of those, so it's been good budgeting and things have been kept up with well. The report's been submitted to the local government commission and it's been accepted. I think the AFIR has also been completed and accepted also. And the city was subject to a number of what they call single audits, compliance audits, and they were all related to American Rescue Fund Planned Act money, and there was a number of funds involved in that. The water system improvement capital project, the stormwater system project, and the AIA capital project. But there were all the information with these grants, expenditures, revenues were all in place and there were no compliance violations. The only other thing that I'd mention about the audit is there was one new sort of pronouncement this year. And it was sick leave. And this year we were required, in the past, we were not required to accrue sick leave because sick leave is not payable. What it does is it adds to the tenure of someone's length of service. However, they made us this year start accruing it as far as sick leave used during the year. So we had to estimate a 4-year period and sort of estimate how much sick leave was going to be used in a particular year. So we had to make a sort of what's known as a prior period adjustment to your financials, and that's something we'll have to keep up with going forward. But other than that, that's it. Certainly, if you have any questions, there's a lot in this report. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer
I
those.
have a question.
Mhm.
On the sick leave, that doesn't restrict how many sick day leaves it can use a year, does it?
No, it does not.
Does not.
It does not.
And over there on page third item, page 20, the current year revenue exceeded expenditure by $107,612. Does that money go to the general fund?
It adds to well, that's in the enterprise fund. That's the water sewer fund that's associated
Okay, water
with.
sewer.
Yes, but it does increase your fund balance, your unrestricted fund balance.
Unrestricted.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
I noticed on the first item on page 1 that the city had received an unmodified opinion. Would you explain to us and to the audience, both listening and seated, what that means as far as the city's concerned?
Well, we're contracted to do an audit of the financial statements. That's it, the financial statements and the numbers. So we come in and do our audit procedures to basically, when Edna gives us a trial balance, and there's a number of trial balances for all the funds, we basically make sure the cash is right, the receivables right, the inventory's right, the fixed assets are right, the debt's right. All the numbers on that, we do all our various tests to make sure that all the numbers in this report are not materially misstated. So we look whatever we have to do to make the determination this is correct.
How many years have you been auditing the city of Hamlet?
Oh my goodness, probably a good while, probably 20 years.
Have you ever found any circumstance misused?
The only thing we ever had was, it did not flow through the city proper, but we did have the situation, as you know, with the fire chief in that situation, right?
Right.
And you understand we had the vehicles that were disposed of sort of not through the proper channels with one of your previous police chiefs.
Yeah.
You had those two, but those actually didn't flow through the city. They were sort of off the books, so to speak. But in regards to the city itself, the only thing that I remember, and this is when Jill Dickens, who works for me now, was here, there was someone at the senior center, and Jill caught this when she was a finance officer, someone at the senior center, as they were going to Walmart buying various items for some of these senior games and stuff like that, they actually bought some personal effects. I don't know whether you remember, this was probably about 7, 8 years ago. It was a very small amount of money, but they looked back over about a 2 or 3 month period, and I think they came up with about $75 or something like that, that this lady, and of course she was going to pay it all back, but at that time she was terminated, and that's about all I can remember.
So have you always found that there were adequate checks and balances
yes.
in our accounting department that would catch situations like this so that they could be
Yes.
dealt with appropriately?
Yes, the checks and balances, the reason you have these checks and balances is so that things can happen, but the checks and balances prevent it from continuing to happen. And when, in this case, when Jill, as the finance officer, reviewed these various invoices, she found that. Now, our audit is not a forensic audit. We do an audit of materiality based on the financial statements.
Right.
So we're not sitting here looking at $5, $10 here, $5, $10 there. It's more of a big picture type thing. But the controls here, I've always found have been fine.
What about our grants, individual grants that we received? How are they accounted for?
Well, you have a number of grants, first of all. You have, of course, you have two really big projects coming up with B2 and B3. This is the water projects. You have
Right.
several of those they really just started last year. I think they're going to take off this year. It's a whole process involved in that. First of all, you have to try to obtain those grants. You did that. I think it was through maybe Matt and you guys, you secured the grant. Then you had to approve the project budget ordinance for the grant. The state's involved the whole way in this process. Then you have to hire the contractor, bid it out. You hire the engineer, you bid it out. The engineer, once things get going, how it works is the engineer is sort of effectively the administrator. And I can't remember who you have. Is it
Depends on which grant.
is it CBK?
LKC.
LKC does a lot of grant, engineering work in this area. So they would coordinate with, once LKC would have been picked here, and you could go back to the minutes and see where you guys approved all this, they would basically take over running the project. And everything, then at that point, you would secure the construction company, because all these are construction grants, right?
Right.
The main water project. So you basically have an engineer and you have a contractor. Everything is approved through you guys, but it's also approved by the state, because the state keeps up with all of this. And the engineer sort of works hand in hand with the state.
Right.
And as far as money coming out, every one of these grants is on the reimbursement basis. So in other words, no one gives you any money whatsoever until you turn in a voucher with the approved expenditures on it. In other words, where the engineer has been paid for whatever services, the contractor's been paid for whatever services, and then the state would in fact look that over, get with the engineer, make sure everything has occurred, and then at that point, they would send you the money. But it's all on the reimbursement basis.
Which means we have to spend the money and invoice it, and it be approved by the granting agency before we ever receive any money whatsoever.
And it has to be valid, too. It's not like they're going to give you this money unless it's the actual contractor, the actual engineer for the specific purpose of what it was for. So yes.
We don't receive money and then spend it any way we want.
No, it doesn't happen.
Okay, well, recently there had been some accusations made, and I wanted that clarified for the people that are watching, that simply doesn't happen, because the money doesn't come to start with, and we only reimbursed for what we actually do, and the granting agency has to approve the work in order to send us a reimbursement.
That's right.
Okay, thank you, Ken, I appreciate it.
Ken, what is your requirements if you do find something wrong? Do you have to report it to the state?
Yes. Yes. The way it works is usually entities that are, as larger, have more competent staff, there usually aren't a lot of findings. But we're not too far away from a number of units we audit, and there are a lot of findings. Because you usually, once you get to real small units, they don't have a lot of the staff that can effectively do the job. So there's a lot of little issues here or there. But yes, we either put it in a report here or we put it in a letter. And their findings, they have to be addressed by the unit.
And you found we had no findings, right?
You do have what's called a performance indicator.
Right.
You had one of these last year also, if you recall, and it's in regards to the water system. That's something you'll have to continue to answer. Now, once this is built out here and you have the new assets and all that, I think that will resolve that. But they're always concerned with these aging water systems, because when you have an aging water system, there's just problems. Not only leaks and money and all that, but there can be quality issues. So
But they monitor that.
they do.
Thank
They do. They look at all these numbers.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Ken.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 6, city manager's report.
Evening, council. I have a very long report, so I'm going to kind of hit the highlights of it. And if you all have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. But, you know, for this report, what I did was a year-end review, and you know, I want to cover some of the big ticket items that we had. But again, you guys can go further in detail with this if you would like. But in 2025, we really did have a defining year here, and in just the last 11 months of us being here, we had a big turnaround, especially when it came to stalled infrastructure projects like our water, our water treatment plant and our wastewater treatment plant, the AIAs and our stormwater systems. We got all of those moving. We stabilized the finances, which Ken talked about, and I'll go a little bit more in depth about. We strengthened our public safety. We modernized these internal systems. We accelerated our downtown revitalization, and we've just secured just unprecedented external amounts of grants and loans that Hamlet has never seen in its entire history. So I'll just talk about the water treatment plant modernization. We are 100% on our engineering and design completion with full NCDEQ civil, mechanical, and structural approval. I was just informed as of this morning, actually, that our updated bid is in. I'll be bringing that in January for final approval, and we are expecting to break ground with council's approval on our water treatment plant in February. So that's huge. We've also initiated, since I've been here, the $150,000 asset inventory assessment for our water system underneath the streets. Moving on, our wastewater treatment plant modernization, we're still working on that, and we're about 80% completion on the engineering of that. And that's done through two portions of funding. It's a $6 million grant and an $11.5 million low-interest loan. Now, one of the things that have been brought up in the past is where this $12 million has disappeared to, and I want to be very clear here. We've never seen that $12 million. We're approved for a loan, but the federal government holds that money, and it has to be spent, invoiced, and then we get reimbursed for that money. So allegations of $12 million just, disappearing are completely fabricated and misinformation to our public. We've also launched a $150,000 sewer asset inventory assessment. That's going to build out a 10-year capital plan for refurbishing our sewer system underneath the streets. That takes about anywhere from 24 to 36 months to complete. So both of those AIAs are just beginning, and we will see those and get updates on those in the near future. So big things coming for our water and our wastewater treatment facilities. The city was once under a moratorium, and this new wastewater plant is the difference between survival and prosperity, because it does unlock our growth and revenue and long-term stability that, without it, we just can't provide. We have people right now that are coming and talking to us that want to do developments, that if we didn't have this water and wastewater treatment facility getting built, we wouldn't be able to take them into our system. So us doing this not only brings our systems up to date, but it also secures the future growth of the city of Hamlet. Our stormwater plan, that's been going on. That was started by Matt Christian. And, I also want to give kudos to Matt Christian, because some of these grants, about half of them, was things that he started, and then and he really got the ball rolling for us. And then when I came into position, I took them and ran with them. It was just, I'm a doer. I'm not really political, but what I am is somebody who will get the job done for you guys. So We have ran with those projects, and they are moving at lightning speed. We also did 2 huge emergency repairs on our water and sewer system, one that was $162,000, and another one that was $76,000. Still, we were able to put in that $107,000 back into the enterprise fund. So even after we completed 2 emergency projects, we still put money back in the bank for our water and sewer system, which is good, because what that tells us is that we're always going to have emergencies that we're going to have to come together and fix. But by still putting money in it, when we talk about this $11.5 to $12 million loan through the federal USDA system, we're going to have to pay that back, and it's a low interest loan over 40 years. But now that we've gotten our water and sewer rates where they need to be, we're in a good position to pay that back. Not only pay it back, but when we adopt the system development fees in January, that is really going to boost our ability to pay off the loan earlier. We already talked with one developer that's wanting to come in and do a huge development. I was like, hey, we got system development fees coming on, and for your size of corporation and the size of sewer line that you need, it's going to be a $43,000 system development fee. And he said, add it into the budget. He didn't even think twice about it. That is stuff that we can use to pay for this system and the improvements that are coming to Hamlet. The digital meter modernization, we're still working on that. I'm working with USDA, but we're trying to finalize that $11.5 million loan, because this project has been ongoing for about 5 years, and it had a 5-year limit on it. And in the last year, really, we have went lightning speed on this again, because the 4 years before that it sat stagnant. The discharge permit was stalled up at the state level, and we got that back on track, and we got these engineers moving quickly to where we are at that 80% completion mark and getting ready to break ground. I'm expecting us to break ground with the water treatment plant, the water treatment plant in February, and the wastewater treatment plant, we're looking at probably November timeframe for breaking ground. I would love for that to be this summer, but realistically, I think we're looking at around November to break ground for our wastewater treatment facility. Just to dive a little bit more into the general fund budget, before I got here, the council had approved $1.6 million to balance the books out of our general fund. That's basically your savings account, right? And I came in, I identified that, and we talked about this. And special meetings, we talked about it in an open session, and the city was not on a good path when it came to spending, and I put a stop to it. And yeah, it came under a lot of negative political rhetoric, but at the end of the day, it saved the city's finances, because instead of spending $1.6 million out of our savings account, we only spent $345,000. So this year, instead of balancing the book with $1.6 million, we balanced it with about $500,000. So if you think about employee turnover rate, some things that don't get the money spent on it, we're probably looking at putting money. I'm hoping that we're going to put money back in the budget, and for the first time in 6-7 years, Ken. I don't think it's probably been over a half decade since we actually put money into our general fund. So we are in a good position now. Enterprise fund, the final result was actually $341,000 that went into our water and sewer, but when you have your fixed assets and stuff, that goes against it. So we were able to absorb some of that, and we are on a good track for our water and our wastewater budget. Moving on, we also secured that $1.25 million grant for a new substation, fire department resources, equipment, and 3 firefighters being paid for 2 years. That memorandum of understanding is in development right now with myself and Amazon Web Services, and we're hoping to bring that to council for acceptance of the grant in January or February, depending on you know, how fast Amazon Web Services moves. They did come out publicly and verbally, you know, approve the grant, but we need to get that actually in writing. This project alone, you know, this is for county residents specifically, but this project's going to bring an estimated relief of about $400,000 a year in insurance premiums to, you know, consolidated for about 900 Richmond County residents within 5-mile radius of that substation. So that's big. That's Hamlet working for the county as well. Downtown revitalization, you know, we opened the Riverside Bakery and Coffee. Brenda and Tammy have done a great job with that, and we've been working with them since the conception of that project. And Dine 82 is up and running, and big thanks to the mayor for that, because I don't think neither one of these projects would actually came to life without our mayor. She really, you know, has done a great job at networking, finding the right people. And now even she's working on putting in a marketing firm downtown, and we've had the 2 murals put downtown. We've had the historic train restored and transferred to city ownership, and we're in several active redevelopment negotiations on multiple properties downtown. To include, you know, we've took a big leap with the Opera House. We've got somebody in there. They expected it for lead paint and asbestos. There was very little asbestos in it, but a whole lot of lead paint. Right now we're working on remediation bids to get that out. So I'm hoping to bring that this spring to council and hopefully adopt a special project ordinance for the future of the Opera House in our next budget. And I'll start working on that budget probably in January or February, and then we'll have some meetings and with hopefully adopting that no later than June. I would like to have it adopted in May though. Police department, we've had a lot of promotions. Our public works department, we've had a lot of promotions. Some of the major projects that we're near completion on is our unified development ordinance with code right. That's going to be historic for the city because it's rewriting how development can happen, and really sets the tone for architectural design and zoning requirements for the entire city. Our downtown streetscape plan, that was briefed when I first got here. The City Lake Trail plan, we're still working on that. It's in progress. We're working with NCDOT on their STIP transportation coordination plan, and that's basically us talking with DOT and saying, hey, we would like to do with these projects. And they say, okay, well, we'll fund 80% of it and you'll pay 20% of it, or vice versa. Or some of them, if they come up with the project, DOT will say, hey, we'll pay for it 100%. And then those come to council and you guys approve them based off of conversations that we have if it's something that the city's interested in. We're also still working on the final closing for that 65 acres on Sherwall Road. That property is under contract, and we're hoping to close no later than February. That's going to be a huge development according to the owners, because they bought another 40 acres that's adjacent to it. So that we're looking at hundreds of homes there. We also have 2 townhouse home developments we're reviewing right now. They're huge. 7-Eleven commercial development coordination, and that project going up. We have a processing plant that is going to have a direct benefit to, it's in the county, but it's going to have a direct benefit to our wastewater collections. And then our planning and our zoning, the numbers don't lie. We've about almost tripled the amount of planning and zoning permits that have came through in just the last 12 months compared to the year before. So we are working steadily to develop Hamlet further. So just kind of go over our grant funding projects. The smaller one, we got a $5,000 grant for Richmond County Tourism, $80,000 for Foundation of the Carolinas for static display at Main Street Park, $210,000 for foundation for the Carolinas Memorial Park, the lighting and sound out there. 52,000 for American Legion Post 49 roof. 5,000 for Seaboard 5K scholarship. 10,000 for Duke Energy. 4,000 for the Orange, another 4,000, both at Duke Energy and Rep Federal for the Orange Blossom mural, and the 1,500 for the American Woodwork. We've gotten, I think, two $10,000 grants from Amazon Web Services, and recently, as of 2 days ago, we got another $10,000 for the rescue squad from Duke Energy. So the grants are coming in, and we're doing as much as we can with as little staff as we have, but the amount of funding that's coming in, again, is just unprecedented. To include our water treatment plant, $10.3 million, our wastewater treatment plant, $6 million, the stormwater AIA, $400,000, the water AIA, $150,000, sewer AIA, $150,000, and a critical infrastructure grant for $4.9 million. And then I also added in the AWS, but we already talked about that one. So, you add in that $11.5 million USDA loan and some of the other grants we got. We've got over $35 million in grants and loans. The city has never seen that in its history. This is the largest combined funding package in the history of Hamlet. My strategic priorities personally are to increase the city revenues through approved development, continue our critical infrastructure improvements, get that substation developed, and get our UDO adopted within the next 6 months before the next budget. So in conclusion, our 2025 reset the trajectory for Hamlet, and this year, just proved what kind of unleashing the true potential of our directors can do for the city, and that's the approach I've taken with my team of teams. Mindset is that I'm there to support, but it's really our directors and all the way down to the entry-level employee that's making this stuff happen for the city. So huge kudos to every last one of our employees, because I removed some barriers. We've restored professionalism and empowered our leaders. And what I've really pushed is, hey, strive for excellence. Nobody is perfect. We all fail, but keep pushing, make things happen, and we will see the fruits of our labor. And this report truly shows that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out, and if there's any questions or comments, I'm here.
John, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We have to have a certain rating for the USDA to even consider loaning us money, do we not?
Yeah, and I was actually working with Edna when I first got here to, where's Edna? Edna, do you have our rating off the top of your head? No, I'll pull that rating out good, but we have a really good rating. It's basically based, it's like a credit report,
Yeah.
but we don't have any debt. So we're actually in a really good situation. But with the new police cars, we have a very small amount of debt. We could actually pay that off right now, but it's easier on the city and the finances to just go ahead and keep that as a loan and pay it off over the next 4 years.
Yeah, the point I was just making was, they don't just loan $12 million to anybody. And, just because you need it and you need to do this, we'll loan it to you. But you got to have a certain rating to be able to get a loan like that.
Yeah, and to be perfectly, transparent, and how this 11.5 million has worked is there's still people out there that need and want that money, other municipalities, and we get calls every day, like, hey, where are you guys at? Where are you guys at? Where are you guys at? And I'm like, hey, this is what we've done. This is what we've done. This is what we've done. As early as today, I think the mayor seen some email traffic that I put her on, and Representative Ben Moss, because, at the end of the day, like, USDA they've approved the loan, but they could pull that from us at any time if we don't meet their time hacks. And before I got here, those time hacks weren't being met, to be perfectly transparent, and now they are. And we are fighting to keep that loan because it's not like we can't get another loan. It's just we might not be able to secure that same interest rate. So we are fighting to keep it where it's at, because at the end of the day, it comes at the cost of the taxpayers, and we want to keep that as low as possible.
Any other questions? All right, moving on to item number 7, oaths of office. Heather?
Starting with me.
I, Amy Gwen. Do solemnly swear.
That I will support and maintain
That I will support and maintain.
the Constitution of the United States
The Constitution of the United States.
and the Constitution of the State of North Carolina,
And the Constitution of the State of North Carolina.
not inconsistent therewith,
Not inconsistent therewith.
to the best of my ability
To the best of my ability.
as mayor.
As mayor. So help me God.
I, Tony Lewis,
I, Tony Cluis,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution of the laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a council member.
as a council member.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Eddie Martin,
Eddie Martin.
do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a council member.
as a council member.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. All right, item number 8, reappointment of council representatives to Hamlet ABC Board.
Congratulations.
Yeah, sorry, just one, yeah. No. And it's you. It's you, if you want to.
I make a motion that Councilman Stewart be reappointed.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Then item number 9, reappointment of council representative to Lumber River COG. Also you. Do I have a motion?
So move, I move that we reappoint council member.
Him
Maurice.
Maurice.
or, oh, okay,
Maurice.
yeah.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Adoption of 2026 regular meeting schedule, item number 10.
I didn't see anything wrong with it myself.
Still second Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
I did, of note, I did add in some work sessions that are really budget work sessions. I went back kind of the way that it's been done historically, so that we didn't have a bunch of special meetings. So it's a little bit easier for you guys to plan out. They're not, because some of them fell on, if I remember right, there are a few that fell close to holidays.
And again, we don't have like this, for 2025, we didn't have a July meeting, and there's not one listed for 2026.
Yes, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item number 11, zoning.
Yeah, we actually have a packed zoning schedule tonight. So the owners of 234 Battley Dairy Road have requested to rezone that parcel from I-1 Light Industrial to CZ 2501, which is a conditional zoning district. So under this conditional zoning district, all the existing uses in I-1 are going to continue to be permitted, with the additional requested uses of a multifamily dwelling, recreational vehicle park, and warehouse. So the multifamily dwelling use is going to refer to allowing the owner to use the front portion of the existing building as an apartment. The recreational vehicle park will be limited use for private use. It'll be temporary housing for their employees, so it won't be open to the public at all. And then the warehouse use is just going to be added to bring the existing non-conforming building into conformity. So under this conditional zoning authority, council actually has the authority to impose development conditions, including buffering, because I know it is surrounded by a lot of residential buildings. And I just wanted to note that the planning board did unanimously recommend approval at our November meeting.
Any questions or discussion?
If you don't have any questions for me, you can also open it up to the public hearing.
All right, do we have anyone here who would like to comment on this rezoning? Then I will close the public hearing. And the first part is the consistency statement. Do I have a motion on that?
You said full unanimous from the planning board?
Yes, it was unanimously recommended for approval.
And you said this will be multifamily housing?
So the multifamily housing use is just the term used in our zoning ordinance. That's just going to be referring to the singular apartment for the owner. It's just because it's an apartment.
Which is the front of the building, used to be the office space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But did you say something about RV storage or RV occupation?
It'll be RV occupation. I think we included their business plan in your packet. I think they anticipate about 12. It'll all be their employees, so it won't be a public RV park. It'll be private.
I think they are gonna do some storage, boat and RV storage, are they not? Did I read that, or did I misread it?
That is possible, just outdoor storage. I know there's a big outdoor storage space out there, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but it was 12 RV spots.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Company Store.
City manager, any thought run to this?
I've talked to a few of the neighbors around the area, one of them being one of our employees, but the area has been a consistent area that's had crime and issues within it, and they believe, and I don't want to speak for them, but from what I understand, what I heard is they wanted it there because they wanted something to occupy that building and get people in it and get it redeveloped, because even if they're only there for 5 to 10 years supporting the Amazon Web Services development, it gets a kickstart into the redevelopment of that property. So it to me, it sounded very, very positive, and from a legal aspect, I think TC could chime in on that as well. But I don't don't see anything that's wrong with it. You know, conditional zoning is to where you can take or add to whatever uses that they want, and you as a council can come and be like, hey, well, we'll approve this, but we want you to put this buffering in, or we want you to put this many egress in, or something like that. And this property's already kind of set up. It just needs something there to get it kick-started.
And I suspect there's gonna be so many changes down the years with Amazon Web Services. And so many people are gonna wanna expand their business, for lack of better words. Everybody's gonna want a piece of the pie.
With the
It's
conditional,
almost every day now. We're hearing people come in.
is there a lifespan to a conditional zoning?
A conditional zoning, and TC, if you want to expand on it as well, but they can come back at any time because now it will be labeled as conditional zoning and amend their conditional zoning approval. So it's really a flexible way of getting some zoning uses out of it that normally you wouldn't get out of it. TC,
And
if you wanna-
just for council's edification for the public, conditional zoning is literally that. It's rezoning the property. So if they wanted to make a big change in the future, they'd have to come back. But otherwise, that's what the map says. And
So it's restricted to the uses that would be granted tonight unless they got a conditional change, right? They'd have to come back to us to change anything.
if they wanted to do something different with the property than what's permitted, that's right. Now, if there are uses that are permitted of right, sort of in the zoning district that they didn't need a conditional zoning for, that's okay. But this is the project that they've got. And if they want to make big changes, then they need to come back before council for another rezoning.
So what this does is it keeps all the, and I think Ms. McKenzie did a really good job explaining this, but it keeps all of the light industrial zoning that's already there. All those uses, they stay. They're only asking to expand the uses. So they're asking for a multifamily use, they're asking for a recreational park and campsite use, and they're asking for the warehouse use. A fact about it, I think the place has been used as a warehouse for many years already. So again, it's just bringing it up to a conforming status. So if somebody wanted to, you know, if you all approve this tonight and then 3 months from now, they said, hey, we want to put this other use in, they would have to do a conditional zoning amendment, and they would be right back up in here. And you know, when I was in Aberdeen as a planner, we had several conditional zonings where the property owner would come back on a 3 to 6 month basis and ask for another use to be added into it. Some of these are big warehouses that, you know, like maybe the use didn't allow a gym, and they were like, hey, we want to put a gym in here now, and council would approve it. So if that gives like a kind of a good example.
Is the motion in order?
Well,
For the
for the consistency statement.
okay, so we have a motion that it is consistent. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Okay. Now, we need a motion for the rezoning itself.
We'll move on to rezoning.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right. Item number 12, rezoning of 1416 Hylan Avenue.
Okay, for the second one, we have received a request from the owners to rezone the front subdivided portion of 1416 Highland Avenue from I-1 Light Industrial to B3, which is neighborhood business. Just for context, that's the Ferrofab building. So this rezoning would permit commercial neighborhood-oriented businesses uses consistent with the B3 zoning. The planning board recommended approval, but there was one dissenting vote on this one. And they do have representatives present if you have any questions.
They being Ferrofab.
Like that last one, was there anything stated of plans of what to do?
If you want to go ahead.
Good evening. My name's Rihanna Smith. I'm the attorney for the applicant. We're with Smith Bowers. Do you need my address? Oh, thanks. Sorry. So just a couple of things about this. It is a small portion. It's 1.59 acres that's being subdivided from the Ferrofab facility, which is industrial. It's light industrial. So what we're asking for is, for lack of a better phrase, to be downgraded to a less intensive use, which is B3. And when we look at what the B3 neighborhood district is,
I got you.
Oh,
If
thanks.
you just tell me to click.
Okay. It is a neighborhood business district that's established to promote businesses of a retail nature, which is beneficial to the neighborhood communities that surround them. That's what is proposed here. It's a commercial building with retail, some food, household items, about a 10,500 square foot building. So nothing incredibly large, different from what it's already zoned, which is light industrial. So that accommodates manufacturing, wholesaling, warehousing, and other similar businesses. And I think it's important to note here, because when we look at one of the factors when we are requesting a rezoning is the effect on the public and the safety and the neighbors, and we certainly understand that. And I think it's important to note here that this parcel is already zoned L1, and it's already been determined to have little to no adverse effects on the adjoining property. And we're asking for a less intensive use here. Something else is, when we look at that, the criteria, and you've just done one previously, is consistency with your comprehensive land use plan and future land use plan, for lack of a better phrase, and that the request is reasonable, and then again promotes the public health, safety, general welfare of the area. Here, again, as I've mentioned before, we know that there are residences across the street. One of their major concerns, and it always is traffic. We don't anticipate this being, if you call it a destination, if you will. People will stop by here on the way to and from places. It will not be additional traffic. As part of the process, we've already met with, and our engineer, Ryan Gallagher, is here that can answer any questions you have. We've already talked with DOT and obtained their provisional approval that there's more than enough capacity on this roadway for whatever trips this would bring. And on top of it, no additional improvements are needed, meaning turn lanes or things of that nature. So we are very cognizant of safety and that importance, and have already worked with DOT on that. One of the other items to note is that there are already commercial uses similar to the area. Ours is the little yellow dot, right, if you squint really hard at the top. And I can point to it. And you can see the other commercial uses that are already around it. So again, showing that it is consistent with your comprehensive land use plan. It fronts a roadway. There's already ingress and egress, a turn that's already been accounted for, and a separate drive for Ferrofab. And so the other thing we talk about is, again, the factors are access. There is access there. There are no off-site drainage improvements that need to be made. There's no wetlands or streams on the property. There's access to public water, sewer, gas, and electricity. So again, not a drain on anything for the town, but it will, with the rezoning and your goal of development, it is going to increase the tax revenue that comes into Hamlet, as well as providing jobs as well. And so it's our position that by rezoning to B3, it is consistent with your comprehensive land use plan. It's consistent and aligned to be consistent with a mixed-use neighborhood designation. And that, again, promotes the economic viability, as well as providing services and access to some of the home goods that we're talking about to the neighboring properties. And this was just showing you what your current zoning map is, and this is just kind of a general prototype so that you can see this hasn't been fully approved or submitted. This isn't a conditional zoning, so this is just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. You can see on the right, the dirt driveway is to Farrafab. The one on the left would be the right-in, left-out for the retail. So happy to answer any questions that you have.
So you're asking for rezoning on 1.59 acres in front of the current Farrafab location?
Correct. It's
So this property will be subdivided and designated?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's only this portion that will be
Okay. The
rezoned.
rest of it will just 1.59 acres?
Yes, ma'am.
Council have any other questions? Okay, well, I will now open the public hearing for public comment on this rezoning. Do we have anyone?
Good evening. My name is Casey Cranford. I live directly across the street, so I am 1419. The one that's not numbered right there is me. And I do live directly across from that lot that is being considered for rezoning from light industrial to small business. I'm also here on behalf of a few neighbors who cannot get out of the home for disability type reasons as well. First, I want to be very clear that we are not anti-development. We are not trying to hold back the progress of the city of Hamlet. We do support responsible growth, but we also strongly oppose this specific rezoning because it places a commercial business directly in front of our homes in a way that harms the safety, property values, and our quality of life. To begin with, and this was also discussed at the planning board meeting, we were asked specifically why we are opposed to this rezoning if it is technically a step down from light industrial to small business. And the answer for this is simple for us. In this case, the current light industrial use is quiet, it is far from the road, and it does not affect the neighborhood. So again, you can see the Farrafab building here. It is quite significantly off the road. Typically, since I live there, I cannot speak for their exact hours because I do not work there. But on the daily, what we see is from about 7 a.m. Normally, employees there are leaving between 2 and 3 p.m. So evening hours, nighttime hours, there's nothing going on that lot. Rezoning this to a small business does increase the impact, not decreasing it. We are not comparing rezoning labels here. We are comparing real-world consequences at this site. We understand that leaving it as light industrial, there is potentials of keeping that lot light industrial, and we know the potentials of what could possibly come in the future of having a light industrial zone. However, if it's rezoned to small business, we're not looking at a potential development. It's a guarantee that something will come in right away. One of our main concerns is that Hamlet already faces some pretty significant crime challenges. Our crime index is 322, which is 1.4 times higher than the national average. Just some evidences that all are included on this specific area of the map here. On July 4th, there was a drive-by shooting at the corner of Hylan and Beeler Avenue. That is directly across the street from where this business would be placed. There were no arrests made. Nothing came from that shooting. On July the 15th, there was a break-in at Golden Rule Convenience, which is one of those businesses that you saw right down the road, less than a mile from where this location would be. And in October and November, there have been a string of vehicle break-ins on Hylan Avenue. No arrests have been made in that as well. And that's all just since July. With these numbers, we can't ignore that adding a retail storefront at the entrance of our neighborhood raises likelihood of loitering, nighttime activity, and increased calls for service. This is not a speculation. These concerns are backed by the city's own data. And I look today at crime rate. The highest crime rate is going to be those evening, nighttime hours. Currently, Farrafab, there is no traffic in those hours when you're seeing that high crime rate. Our second concern is also traffic and safety concerns, which were addressed a minute ago. The current light industrial use that is now being used is very low impact. The employee scale there, I believe I looked today, it is under 50, and the existing building is very far from the road. It does not create constant vehicle flow. A small business, especially of the retail variety, would have continuous customer traffic, turning movements, and peak hour surges. Many of our neighborhood children, and there are multiple here tonight as well, also walk, bike, play right there at our homes, as they should be able to freely. Another concern that we have is our properties. Our homes are our biggest financial investments that we have. Potential buyers are already cautious because of the crime rates that we talked about right there at Hylan and Mueller. If this rezoning introduces more traffic, late night activity, security issues, it can discourage future home buyers and potentially lower our resale values as well. Responsible planning, it should protect and not jeopardize the investments of the residents and citizens of the state, of the city. Our request is that if this lot, we request that it is not zoned to small business for these concerns that I've mentioned here. But if this lot must be rezoned, we ask that the council consider rezoning to possibly residential, which fits with the environment of what is already there in that area. It's much more compatible with surrounding homes, and it's also safer for our families. We love our neighborhood. We want to protect it. We urge the council to consider the real safety risk, the traffic impact, and the effect on our values of our homes, all supported by Hamlet's own crime and housing data. Thank you for listening and for your service to our community. Also, we are happy to answer any questions or even walk the site with any council member if they see fit. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else?
I'm not going to be as organized as her. I'm a mom and I work full time, and and my daughter's birthday's today. So I've had a lot going on today.
What's your name?
My name is Kristen Chavis. I live at 1431 Hylan Avenue. I do work from home where I live at, so I'm at my house all the time. We bought our house about 5 years ago during COVID. Since then, Hylan Avenue has not been what we thought it was going to be. It is very high traffic for us. I have a lot of the same concerns as Casey has, my neighbor that just came up here. And I also feel like I need to speak because my house was the house that was shot into July 4th in the middle of the night. Apparently it was a drive-by shooting. I haven't gotten many answers from the police on that, but that's a different situation. I had 2 children. They're all little. My alert is a lot higher now since the shooting on what's coming into our neighborhood and what's coming out. My kids love to play in the front yard, but unfortunately, for my own peace, it's a no anymore. Hylan Avenue is a very busy street already. I don't see how the NCDOT, Department of Transportation, says that it can handle this another business. Maybe if it's like they're wanting to do a small business, but I mean, it really, even if it's a small business, it's not going to generate enough revenue for what its purpose for. I mean, it's bringing in more traffic, more attention to that area. So basically, this rezoning benefits one property owner, but the entire surrounding community absorbs the risk of increased traffic, more noise, and safety concerns. So I just wanted to reiterate the points that Casey brought up as well, and I'm also open to questions. I'm sorry my speech is not as put together, but
You did fine.
thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Kristen? No? Okay, who else?
Good morning, everyone. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Right before I was removed from the planning board, I did have an opportunity to see this. And what the young ladies were bringing up was the same concern that I had, which was, yes, it fits a comprehensive plan, which I like, because I like people who follow the rules. So I think she did a really good job on that. The only concern I had was the safety part of it. So I live at 98 William Street, which is the corner of 74 and William Street. At evening time, at 6 o'clock, Crawford Law Firm's back parking lot fills up. Now, here recently, after I made a couple suggestions to Derek Crawford, the attorney, can you please put a light back there? Because it's so dark back there. You have drug deals going on back there, a lot of traffic, people just cutting through there. So that light helped mitigate a lot of that crime. So typically with crime, you want to put a lot of light, and they typically shy away from it. Believe it or not, they actually walk around the light now, which is a whole lot better. So if you're going to make this zoning as though the attorney wants it to, I want you to kind of keep that in consideration. And very much like went to one of the subdivisions, there are cameras out there. If that's going to happen, if you're going to agree to this anyway, can you at least put cameras out there so those type of incidents can be avoided? Typically, if you got cameras and lights, then people will avoid doing what's happening. And that's helped my neighborhood a whole lot. And hopefully with the UDO getting updated, I am hoping that will also clarify and clear up some things, because also my neighborhood is a mental health halfway house. One of the young ladies has robbed 3 neighbors already, but it's zoned correctly. So I'm hoping as the UDO gets updated, that maybe those things can be taken into consideration. So I just want you to consider those things. This one's a hard one to weigh out because it does fit in the comprehensive plan, which I'm all for. But it also is a safety issue, and that needs to be thought about if you guys are going to approve this.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes? No?
This will be a quick comment. One thing I wanted to add off of what he had just said about the camera and light situation is in the spring, the police department did install a police security light at the corner of Hylan and Beeler Avenue. I'm sure you've seen the blinking blue light if you ever ride by there at nighttime. All of those crimes that I mentioned happened, the shooting, the Golden Rule convenience, and all of the drive-by or the car break-ins on Hylan have occurred after the camera install. So that did not prevent in that situation. Also, all of the car break-ins were caught on video and camera. Those pictures, they're on Facebook if you want to look at them. So the camera light situation, while I do think it could potentially be helpful, it has not so far.
Thank you. All right, I will. Sure.
To echo, and I apologize, I forgot, Esco said is, here you do have a dark area. Fab is, the steel manufacturer is behind it. Here we are going to have a commercial business, a retail. There are going to be lights. There is going to be activity. You already have crime. There's no evidence that by having the retail, it's going to bring crime to it. Instead, what I find is when you do have activity, when you do have people around with lights, and the camera aside, just the store lights, which all of those will comply with the permitting and building department as far as the light that shines into the neighbors' homes. I think it will actually improve their situation. And I certainly understand their concerns, but that front parcel could easily become a warehouse, and you could have 18-wheelers coming through here 24 hours. Our store would have set opening and closing, and our goal is to be good neighbors. And as he said, we do meet the comprehensive plan. We're happy to answer questions, and we understand their concerns. We actually think this will help.
Some of their concerns were about evening operating hours. Do you know at this point what, if any, evening operating hours would exist?
I don't. We don't have a tenant signing a lease here, but typically that ends around 9 or 10, depending on what that tenant is.
Would the neighbors be a consideration in finding a tenant?
Yes, I mean, this is meant, we talked about before, that it is that neighborhood business, so it's meant to be complementary to the residents there. We also want to make a profit. We think this is a good location for it, and if it's something that they don't see activity after a certain hour, it's not really, you're not inclined to continue to stay open. So it is to service the neighborhood and those needs.
So you don't have a tenant at this point, you're just constructing the building?
Correct. We think it's a good site. We think that there is a need that will also service the community while, in essence, being that hybrid between the neighborhood and the business and serving the community.
Is your client looking at a particular type of business, or you don't know?
I don't know. Right now, the idea is, again, that it will be some kind of retail, not gas, but it would have food, home necessity items and things like that.
Like a Dollar General type operation?
I could not.
I'm just saying that one wouldn't have gas.
Council, I just want to be clear too that, you know, when it comes to a rezoning of this level, there's a couple of things I want to say. Number one, you know, the attorney could get up here and say, hey, we're going to put a Dollar General here. It's non-binding because the rezoning is not for a specific business. It's for anything within that use. So we can't even, you know, really like discuss what specifically that's going to be. And the second part of that, and it really goes to Mr. Latimer's comment, because it was great. However, this isn't a conditional zoning, so we can't go in there and say, hey, we're going to let you put this on here, but you got to put in these security measures and this lighting measures to mitigate these concerns. So you have to look at it as the complete rezoning from one approved zoning district to another, and you can't place conditions on it for approval.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have a question for her, but I do have something.
Let me close the.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm familiar with Hylan Avenue. It's about like 177 where I live. The speed limit's 45, and nobody runs 45 down that street. They run 55 or faster. My question is there any way, because I believe that speed limit right through that area is 45, and it don't lower until it gets to Hamlet, to the city, well, we're in the city limits, but it doesn't lower until it gets up about the top of the hill after you go down. Is there any way we could lower that speed limit from 45 to 35? Now, I know that don't have anything to do with this, but I think, you know, if I lived on that street, if I lived in that area and I had children, that would be my concern. So.
I completely understand what you're saying. If it was our road, we could, you know, take that into consideration, but it's a DOT state road.
And on that, Mr. Cluish, you could ask DOT, and typically what they do is they'll come out and do a study, and sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. But I mean, it's something staff could look at if council directed you to.
Well, I think that's what we need to do, because I know the area, and I think the speed limit needs to be lowered. I know they didn't want to do it on 177 out where I live, and they did eventually lower it. So I think that's something we need to do, regardless of what we do here. I think we still need to have that speed limit lowered. Now, that's mine.
I got a comment. I live on James Avenue, right adjacent to, right behind Hylan Avenue. And all during the day and at night, I can hear just traffic, just absolutely noise, the mufflers, speeding. I don't have a radar on them, but brother, they are cutting up. They come up there and they come up, and it's just highly, highly dangerous the way they come. And it will put a building there, a business, to me, just add to the danger that we have going on. That's my comment.
else have a question or comment? If not, do we have a motion for the consistency statement?
Council, I just want to add, that when you're doing a statement, whatever your decision is or whatever the motion is, remember when it comes to the consistency statement, it is not about the final approval of the rezoning, it's about the consistency of it. So the consistency could be approved and the other one not, in the actual rezoning not. So I just want council to understand that as they're talking about this, they're talking through it.
I make a motion that we approve the consistency statement.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. So now a motion on the rezoning decision.
I'm gonna speak out as being a homeowner and a property owner there, in that. I'm gonna say we ought to keep it residential and keep the business there. I support keeping it.
Light industrial.
Huh?
It's light industrial.
Okay, excuse me.
So it would
Just helping out.
It would just be a motion to deny the rezoning, Mr. Sellers? It'd be a motion to deny the rezoning?
To deny the rezoning.
Yes, sir.
That's it. That's what I was trying to say, TC. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, do we have a second?
Yeah, to.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Madam Mayor, were there abstentions?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
Did anybody abstain?
okay.
No? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. Item 13, public hearing rezoning number 3. 493 Highway 177, North Highway 177.
So Richard Bledsoe, the owner of the property located at 493 North Highway 177, has submitted a rezoning request to rezone this parcel from RA 20, which is residential agriculture, to B2 general business. The adjacent parcel is also owned by Mr. Bledsoe, so you may recognize this. That map isn't updated, but the other parcel adjacent to it was rezoned B2 a couple months ago. The planning board did unanimously recommend approval for this one.
All right, I'm going to open public hearing for this parcel and rezoning. Do we have anybody for that one? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing then. Does council have any questions?
So this is the second parcel of property adjacent to the one we discussed last month.
It is, yeah. So he owns both of them. They were both zoned RA 20. He rezoned one of them a couple months ago, and now he's here to rezone the second one. So both parcels to the right and left of those are B2 already.
Okay.
Do I have a motion on?
On the consistency statement.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Uh,
Okay. And then a motion on the rezoning decision.
So moved.
second.
All in favor? Okay. On to item 14, discussion to replace fence at Buttercup Field.
Council, it's just that I need some direction and guidance. Do you all want us to put the fence back up or not? We got a quote, it's $14,000, and they continue to get tore down. And,
We have cameras out there.
we do, and
We got to have a fence, but how many times have we replaced that fence?
I can't count.
How many bids have we got?
we got the one bid, if I'm correct. Doc?
Do what?
It's the original person that put it up and has continued to put it up. And, you know, I think we're at a situation now where, it's cost versus effect. And I understand the effect, but we ought to also understand the cost. And I don't know if we have any, this isn't a public hearing, agenda item, but, we've had people come up and talk about this, and I just want some direction before I spend taxpayer dollars on putting up a fence that keeps on getting tore down. These things, those are the things that really tug at me at night and make me think about, is this the best thing to do for the citizens with their money? And I'm really on the fence about it. No pun intended.
You're on the fence.
What does Mr. McClung say? Has he had an opinion on it?
Maurice.
Maurice McClung.
I did not get really an opinion about it, except that it keeps on coming down. And
Are there cameras down there?
there are
It
cameras
concerns
down.
me that the cameras are not picking up any activity.
But I think the issue is that, they know it's a bunch of kids down there doing it, and that it's been done over the years, and it's going to continue to happen. And we've talked about even putting in a lower fence, but are they going to tear that down too, or do we take down the portion that's kind of destroyed now and leave the rest? I don't know. I think this is a council decision, and I just need some guidance on what you guys want
When
me
we
to do.
dedicated that field, it was put there in memory of an individual who had been very, very active in a youth sports program down there. And I feel strongly that it's a youth park. And I feel strongly about wasting taxpayer dollars. And I know how many times we've replaced it since before you got here. We've replaced the playground, which was set on fire. We've replaced a lot of things. But I think to fail to replace some type of fence negates the use of that as a park. And we saw that in soccer season. It certainly restricts our ability to use the park effectively for any kind of youth recreational opportunities because of the street and just what children do. They run in the roads, and, as I said, I don't know who you got your estimate from. Maybe if we got a couple of more estimates, we might be able to get something cheaper. But I think to fail to replace some type of fencing down there just negates the use of the park as any type of recreation for youth.
Well, the quote is for a 6-foot high fence, right? And we could do 3 feet or something.
Yeah.
I think that the ideal of the fence is to kind of keep the balls in the field or whatever. So, we could get some estimates on a lower fence, and then I can bring that back to council in January, and you guys tell me which way to go with it. Again, when it comes to something like this, and I understand the good of the fence, but I also understand the weight on the taxpayer when it comes to it. So I under my authority, I could go ahead and prove it, but I'm going to bring this to council and let you guys make that decision.
I appreciate you bringing it. So if you could bring it back, I want to have some type of fence there, whatever that is. Also, the beautification of it, I want to see something like that. And I know the good and the bad that comes with that park. But, the equity of it is, we do stuff, at the other park. I want to see the same thing. And for us to kind of figure out how we can keep it. So we could bring some things back. That would be great, but I think we definitely need to have something.
Maybe we could reposition the cameras to get, whatever it is they're looking for. Just because I know a lot of the vandalism has stopped. The scale of the vandalism has decreased. But, maybe we can use those more effectively. I don't know. Because we even tried a neighborhood watch. We tried to find people in the neighborhood that would step up and kind of let us know what was going on. So because of the last time, it was a lot more expensive what we had to do. So let's see if we can find a less expensive option, maybe a 3 or 4 foot fence. And
I have a lot of feeling for Buttercup. I spent a lot of hours years ago when I was coaching all that time, and it's a beautiful park. It's just an asset to have and to use. I've got a lot of memories, a lot of hours there, and it can be used if it's maintained properly and safely. And I think that we ought to, I agree with Councilman Maurice, that we ought to have some kind of equity for it. And it's going to be abused. I don't know of any park in Hamlet that hasn't been abused at one point or another. So I think that we should keep, do all we can for Buttercup, because it can be used and is used very well. Thank you.
I think we need more than one bid.
Yeah.
I don't agree with just one bid. Now, if we put something out to bid and nobody else can bid on it and nobody else does, that's one thing. And that might be what happened, I don't know. But I just, for us to get a bid of $14,000 and not knowing if anybody else give us a bid on it, I don't agree with that.
I agree with you, and I think that, when you come to that threshold and money, and, statutory requirements, I think what's happened is it didn't meet that, so they went out and got the bid that they know, but we can go out and get more bids if that's what you guys are giving me guidance to do, and I can also get it for the same height that's currently there, and then a height at a lower, like a 3 or 4 foot level. Is that, and if that's what you guys want me to do, then just ask for a quick motion to direct me.
So we need a motion?
I make a motion that we get further bids for the same fence as well as a lower installation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Comments from attendees?
Good evening, Council. So just a little bit of a clarification, and you guys are actually doing a really good job in regards to the website. So I was pretty impressed with that. Not that that matters. The ARPA funds, I had 2 questions about that because I haven't gotten any reply back. How much of the ARPA funds are left? Because these ARPA funds were awarded when Matt was here. So that's been about 7 years. So if what you're saying is correct, that no, you never received the $400,000, then you've had 7 years to match those funds and get reimbursed to finish the lake trail. So the lake trail should have been done by now, especially if you put, let's see, the Opera House has had 2 roofs put on it. So we've had, I believe, without exact numbers, we've had enough money to probably at least start the lake trail, and nothing has happened in the last 7 years. So that's just one question. Feel free to answer, or if not, that's fine too. What else did I have? Oh, and in regards to the grants with the budget being online, it's real high level, which is fine. And people can do a public request to get the details. But it only shows $19,000 for grants. And if you're going to talk about these large numbers of grants and monies that you're receiving, at least say, hey, we were awarded this, but we don't have this. I think that will be, that will eliminate a lot of accusations that's being so-called flying around, because people are thinking you received the $400,000 or the $16,000 or whatever number it is, not knowing that it goes in a little more detail. Sometimes it's a loan grant, which means you have to match funds and then pay the money back. So it goes like that. And in construction, yes, the process that everyone's been talking about, yes, no construction project is paid up front. You pay it in increments. Most of the time the bank holds the money, and there's the invoices being submitted to the bank allocates money for that. So yeah, so that's good. I would just like to see a little bit more clarification in there. And then the last part is, the Hamlet Senior Citizen IT program that me and Amanda Kippen put together is still going. My last senior citizen was Linda McInnes, and I put in her comments for her and set those up for her. Widower, home by herself, needed the cameras, got those set up. So they were working really good. Now we're looking at permanently stationing them for her. So I wanted to make sure she was good. The setting for cleanup still going on. I'm still picking up trash and cutting that grass along there. The roads kind of got beat up when the utility companies came in, but I packed that dirt down so it doesn't get washed down our street. If you look at in front of my house again, where those stones and rocks are, that road has started to build back up, which needs to happen because it was dropping down, which will cause that whole road to buckle, and it will happen. So that's built back up. So actually, I need to add some more stones into it because all the dirt washing off 74 runs down the hill and runs through front of my yard. And then the last part of it is, and this is the really good one, the PTP. I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Funny that you mentioned Aberdeen. I was in your old office on Monday. I first want to start with Maurice Stewart. Nice to see you in a non-parade capacity. You missed the last two meetings, including the one where the council railroaded Mr. Esco there right off the planning committee way to back your fellow African-American politician. Of course, you did that on purpose because you didn't want to see that constituency watch you railroad a fellow citizen. But also, you weren't ever going to go against Abby because it's her constituency that keeps you elected. Abby, you violated every bylaw and protocol by appointing this man without council approval. And you did it again by rejecting his resignation, boosting his compensation, and giving him permission to not move here and to fire our police chief. None of this went before the council, and you don't have that kind of authority. Okay? You didn't have it in the 80s, you didn't have it in the 90s, you don't have it now. Here's the best part. Apparently, he has filed an Equal Employment Opportunity Commission complaint against you all, citing a hostile work environment that he himself created here in Hamlet. You cannot make that narcissistic shit up. I hear, although I don't have proof of this, I hear we are also paying for the degree he should have had before he even took the damn job. We writing checks to UNC Chapel Hill now? Are we? I don't know who you are, Abby, but you're not Abby circa 1989. It's a shame you began your career celebrated in the news and that you'll probably end up being ridiculed in it. Ms. Amy, I have a homework assignment for you. I need you to Google the definition of moral turpitude, and I need you to know that I know. Johnny.
It's John, sir.
I began my day yesterday at the Moore County Detention Center. And then I went to the courthouse, where the clerks identified your son's attorney. And then I paid Mr. Costanza's office a visit, as I know him personally.
Mr. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, no, Mr. Smith, that's
In
not
fact,
pertaining to.
he got me out of trouble, Mr. Costanza.
Smith, that is not pertaining to city business. You may not speak about public officials, children in public at this time.
It's all right,
You can
my
talk about
attorney will
city
get it.
business.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Smith, that is out of line. You can talk about city business. You're free to criticize elected officials. You can criticize me. You can criticize appointed officials, but you may not bring in people's families into public comment time, sir.
I'd love for you to.
No, that's enough.
Oscar, Eddie, Tony, which of you has the guts to put forth and second a motion to end this man's tenure as town manager right here, right now, in front of God and everyone? You can vote right now. The citizens can see which councilman wants to end this nightmare and which wants to perpetuate it.
You're the only nightmare here.
John, no.
Just for you, buddy.
Mm-mm. That's enough.
See you February 9th.
I'll see you in court, bud.
Don't leave, sir. Please don't leave. Excuse me, ma'am, if you would let us comment. Okay, to start with, Sean, Patrick, Smith, Knight, Doran, whatever your name is. To start with, we didn't put Mr. Esco Latimer off the planning board. He done it to himself. He done it to himself. Do you think we like sitting up here doing stuff like that? Not at all. You've heard your say. Just be quiet. So we didn't put him off. Okay, the next thing is, there's no checks being written to UNC. You don't even know him. Why are you thanking him? So you come up with all this junk and all this mess. Don't you ever tell me to vote or to do anything else, because you don't control me. And don't you, hey, you've had your say, be quiet. I'm talking now. You had your 3 minutes.
No,
No, I
actually,
don't. That's one of the good things of sitting up here in this seat. Now, if you've got anything else to say, you say it to me.
What do you want me to say? He doesn't.
Wait a minute, we're not talking about him. We're talking about me.
Do your job.
I'm doing my job. You don't know the backstory on nothing else. So the best thing you to do, my name better not come out of your mouth again on social media or anywhere else. Because I know attorneys too.
I know him too. Better get one.
I know he is. I know he is. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry for going to his level. I apologize. My bad.
who else do we have for comments?
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I got 3 minutes?
Yes.
Can I give my 3 minutes to someone else?
No.
No? Okay.
Sad day that you have to do crap like that.
My drunk.
Sad day.
All right, anybody else? All right, we now need oh, I'm sorry, Don.
You said you had anything to say or do or complain about the city, making an official complaint. Well, you didn't say how many times you had to complain to get something done. I've called several times on issues and nothing, action has been taken. Is there a time limit of when something's got to be taken?
And what are you talking about? I guess you're
I'm
looking at
talking-
me, Don. I'm just
No, I'm not.
saying that.
Yeah, I'm talking to
Okay,
anybody. I mean,
okay,
because I've
okay.
never got an answer. I've been told that the fence at South Hamlet Buttercup there was taken up partially by the city, but nobody knows where the fence is at, so I don't know where it's at.
That was taken up by the city?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So, and also, cars parked on Spring Street. I've called, no action has been taken. I've called about the intersection of Adale and Wallace. Dirt, grass, 5 feet out in the highway, throwing water out in the highway when it rains. No action been taken. That's been 3 months. And also, Mr. Lewis, I got something to say to you. At last council meeting, you was talking about Nebo Church, but you was making fun of the church.
No, sir, I
Yes,
was
you was.
not.
You was laughing, and you was making smart comments about 225 years. Did you do any background check on that?
No, I believed it. I went to the service.
But what I'm saying is,
I went
you
to
was,
the
you was
service.
laughing and making fun of it, of the people. Because you made a statement, well, I wasn't born back then. I couldn't, that's a long time. Said you and Mr. Covington were not born. That's right, you wasn't. But you need to do your background before you up there criticizing the church. Yes, you were.
I went to the service, Don, and I think it's a great thing that the church has been there that long. And a lot of the people I knew, I took the information home. I know a lot of those people. And the last thing I would do is make fun of a church being organized for 225 years. I think it's a wonderful thing. And I said they had a great time. I mean, they helped sculpt Hamlet. So I definitely didn't make fun of them. If I did, I apologize, and I didn't mean to make fun of them.
Do we have anyone else?
A little hostile. Good afternoon. My name's Amber. I just wanted to come and thank y'all for bringing up Dobbin Heights tonight and actually taking consideration into the fence. And I can understand both sides of the spectrum, not wanting to waste taxpayer dollars and also wanting to make sure that we're respecting that property and giving the soccer kids somewhere safe to play at. So thank you for bringing that back to the table and not just pushing it off. My question or challenge or just concern now would kind of line up with what Tony mentioned with 177. So I know y'all just kind of agreed or whatever to rezone the property on Battley Dairy Road. I would also want to look at maybe lowering the speed limit or putting some more type of security control out there, because that's also another road they turn into a racetrack. When it splits right there, it's 35, then it goes to 45, and I happen to live right where it turns 45, and I don't allow my kids to play in the front yard. Thankfully, we have a fenced-in backyard because they treat that like a racetrack. Motorcycles, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, all of them, you name it, they come through there going 55, 60, 70 miles per hour. When it snowed 2 years ago, I had 3 to 4 wrecks in my front yard within 8 hours time span. So if we're gonna change the rezoning of the property over there, that's where the police sit at a lot on that road and kind of control the traffic. I would just wanna have somewhere else for them to sit at and make sure we're still watching the traffic flow right there just for the safety of the citizens. That's all. That's all I had.
I'd like to make a comment
All right,
about
thank you.
the South Hamlet and the Buttercup. I think that if we can bring it up, what we need down there is better maintenance, more patrolling, fix the cameras, and police it and enforce it.
Exactly, because if we're going to use taxpayer dollars to pay for something, we should hold people accountable that's taking it and tearing it up. So if we can put the cameras in better angling, like Ms. Abby said, maybe we can get these people on camera doing it, and we can hold them accountable for wasting our dollars.
That's a beautiful park, and I love it.
Exactly. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
Mayor, let me,
Go ahead.
I've sat here and tried not to say anything.
Go ahead.
I've sat here, prayed to the good Lord to keep me sane. Mr. Sean, you don't know me, and I don't know you, sir. And whatever issues you have with anybody in this room, I don't appreciate you looping me into that. I don't. I am a 100% caretaker for my mom. That week alone, I missed 3 board meetings. And I am the last person to talk to about race relations. I was born into race relations. With my parents, dude, don't loop me into other people's stuff. Please, I beg of you. You don't know me. That's all I want to say. If it's something to do with me, I take it. I really do. I will take 100% of it. But please don't loop me into something else. That's all I ask of you. You find something on me that's 100% correct, I'll take it. But, hey, please don't put me down in that road. That's all I ask. And that's for anybody in this. All right? That's all I'll say.
All right, moving on to comments from council, I believe.
You really?
Mr. Martin?
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say, but I would like to commend our city manager for a fine report that he gave earlier. It just shows how much he's involved with the city of Hamlet, what's going on. And I appreciate his efforts. Other than that, I've heard enough tonight. I don't have enough further comment.
Mr. Sellers?
I'd like to thank all the attendees for coming to our meeting and all the concerns and having courage to come up to the podium and express them. We got a holiday, Christmas coming up, and I want to wish everyone a safe and healthy holiday. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis?
I probably already said enough.
I wish everybody Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I think that's what I do. You know, I had a whole lot I want to say about bullying and, you know, somebody making fun of somebody who stumbles a little bit when they read something and stuff like that. But, you know, I looked it up, and bullying is something where they find an inconsistency in their own life. So, you know, I can see why some people bully other people. And so I want to wish everyone, and that means everyone,